Hey everyone, thank you for joining me for the first official kickoff video of the summer video series. I'm going to focus on my favorite of the summer categories, and that is the elegant summer fragrances. It can be florals or other types. Some have some coconut and all of that. This is the batch of fragrances that I consider to be the most elegant for summer, the most ladylike, the ones that I would wear out to dinner in summer or in that resort evening type of situation. I have other videos lined up, one of which is a juicy summer fragrances video. I'm going to put the majority of my coconut centric fragrances in that one, along with some other juicy types of fragrances that are a little bit more light and playful for summer. And I also have a third video called light seaside fragrances that'll be coming up. And that reminds me of smells by the ocean, by the lake, the sea, whatever, the river, lighter wearing fragrances that remind me of those scents. And of course, I'll have other fragrance videos coming up that are summer related. But I really wanted to kick off with this one. I have so many, probably the equivalent of a couple of shelves full of fragrances that are classified as summer fragrances and high heat fragrances and all of that. So it was really, really hard to narrow down for this. So these are my very top picks. Before we get into the fragrances, I'd love for you to do me a favor. We did this last summer and it was just amazing. We have an audience here that is international on Veronica Says, and it's one of the most amazing things about the audience out there. If you could drop in the comments your home country. If you're in the United States, tell us your home state. If you feel comfortable, tell us the city you're in. I understand some of you are not comfortable sharing that information online. That's okay. What city, what state, what country, what region of the world are you in? Any one of those. And if whatever you're typing in shows the emoji flag of wherever you are, please drop that in the comments too. Thank you so much. Let us proceed with talking about my very favorite fragrances for summer. So there are some usual suspects in this lineup, and then others that maybe fewer of you have heard of, including this first one, which I have a travel spray of. I have fallen down the rabbit hole of exploring this house, LM Parfums. And forgive me for the pronunciation here. The perfumer is Italian, but I believe that this is considered a French house, or at least the fragrances are French in style. And so it's Soleil. I know that much. And then if it's French, it's Infidele. And if it's Italian, it's, wait a minute, I just looked this up, y'all. Infidele. Okay, but you see the name on the screen. This is one that I explored on a chance, and I think it's really beautiful. It is a very sort of unisex summer fragrance and rather elegant. This one is heavy on coconut in a perfumey way, not sort of in an edible way. And there are marine aspects to this fragrance alongside some beautiful florals. So one of the fragrances I love the most from this house is called Sensual Orchid. And it has this beautiful fantasy orchid note that for me is a flower that feels very pink in terms of the way that it smells to my nose. If I had to give it a color, it would be like somewhere in the neighborhood of pink, maybe even magenta. Reminds me a little bit of like a cotton candy smell, but with a floral tinge aspect to it. This is just fantastic. Very, very elegant, upscale kind of a fragrance. I don't know that I'll be purchasing a full bottle because I think it will take me a long time to go through this travel spray. By the way, if you're looking for a wide variety of decants and travel sprays, I really do enjoy shopping at Scent Split. No, not sponsored. Wish it was. I shop enough at Scent Split that I'd love to be sponsored by them, but I am not. It is linked below, not an affiliate link at all. And I love that I can get either 1 ml samples, which y'all know I don't like the dang 1 ml samples. I'm sorry. We're going to go on a little bird walk here. This is like a 1 ml sample, 1 milliliter. And then they also sell these 2 milliliter samples. This is my preferred decant style because you can at least spray it and pretend to do a full day wear with this if you really want to test something out. And I don't have the other size here, but this is a nail polish, but it's like this, and it's 5 mils that you can buy of fragrances, or you can do a full travel spray if you want to feel bold, or if you want to test something out for a longer period of time. Okay, sorry about the distraction. This is one that I would rate probably as a beautiful summer unisex fragrance. I think this would be super duper sexy on dudes. I mean, on my husband, this would just sing, and on me, it has, for me, like this sort of sensual dark flair to it, without being too deep in like the noir evening direction. Although it'd be great all day, but definitely for evening, dinner time, wanting to smell more mature. Ooh, this is so dang good. The marine aspects of this are toned down. I love the way that the coconut, the marine, there's vanilla in here too, and that beautiful sweet floral just kind of play all alongside each other and have equal billing in the fragrance without them competing against each other. So just lovely. Definitely check this out if you're into what I just described and you want a fragrance that nobody else is really talking about and smells just a little bit different than all the others on the market. This next one is for sandalwood lovers. It took me a long time to get this fragrance in my hands. I had a couple of dupes of it along the years. And this is from Fragrance du Bois and it's Santal Complet. So on the website for the house, it says the top notes are lemon and coconut. There's a teeny tiny bit of citrus. And the coconut for me is this sort of dry, husky type of coconut on some days. And then on other days, it feels like a really soft, creamy coconut. But the star of the show for me here is the sandalwood. Other notes listed: violet, black pepper, musk, amber, vanilla. By and large, this is a nice, dry sandalwood fragrance that is maybe made creamy. So let me go back to that by the addition of the coconut. And now that we know that there's vanilla in the fragrance, maybe that also, I can't say that this smells like vanilla to me. I love that this is a subdued edited fragrance. Like it's edited back to just sort of some core essential aspects, which for me is sandalwood. Beautiful sandalwood that's lovely all year round and especially for summer. This is a soft wearing fragrance. The main critique is the lasting power for the price tag on this. So this house is very pricey. You're in the 300 some odd range. Well, this one, excuse me, was 245 pounds. So by the time you convert that to US dollars, it's up into pushing into the 300 range or close there. So it is an expensive fragrance, but I love how elegant this is. I do think that Juliana's Perfumes makes a really adequate dupe of this, a really nice one. This one is a little bit smoother than that one. So check them out if you'd like to test out a very, very similar scent profile at a fraction of the cost. But I think that this is lovely. It's soft wearing. It's like a sandalwood hug in a bottle type of thing. We think about hugs in a bottle as being those sort of cozy, warm fall fragrances. This is the summer version of a hug in a bottle. Quite beautiful. I will say for those of you that it matters to that this is very much a unisex fragrance. I don't find it to be feminine or masculine, but sort of squarely in the middle. Quite nice. I don't usually like to put multiple fragrances from one house in a video, but these two, they were both looking at me on the shelf like, you better not talk about one of us without talking about the other, or we're going to give you side eye. So I had to oblige. This one is even pricier than Santal Complet, and it is from Fragrance du Bois, and it's Oud Zanzibar Intense. Oh, wow. One of the most elegant summer florals that I have. Really powerful all year round. You can wear this anytime, but it's just the right combination of white and yellow florals and a sort of musky, ambery, vanillic base that is absolutely glorious. It is like the most luscious, opulent tropical garden in a fragrance. Now, this has matured a bit since it has sat in my collection. By the way, you see, there isn't a lot out of here. I did give someone a decant of this and I spray lightly with this because you don't need a lot, a few sprays of this, and it is powerful and will last all day. Very pricey. I think in the US on the retail market here, it should be over 500, somewhere in the 500 to 600 range. Holy cow. So see if you can get it on sale. This is on So Avant-Garde as well. And you can use Veronica 10 for 10% off. I will link all of these below. And if I have discount codes, I will pass those along to you. And I'll try to get you some of the good pricing on this. And then I also have links through YouTube to just the regular retail. The regular retail sites for those of you that like to shop at Bloomingdale's and Saks and Neiman Marcus and those places because you have your reward points and all of that. And you don't mind paying retail. Hey, to each their own, what you do with your budget. But when I tell y'all, oh, what was I trying to say? I'm sorry, since this has sat on my shelf longer, I get more of this interesting sort of bubblegummy bubblegum nature to this, at least here on the scent strip. On my skin, this is really beautiful, elegant, creamy florals, white and yellow combined. And there's just this gorgeous soft vanillic base to it, as I mentioned, some musky tones deep in the dry down. Some people pick up a prominent pineapple. For me, this is more like a ylang-ylang and tiara and maybe like a jasmine, sambac type of note, something in that direction that is just, I mean, to die for. And a compliment getter. Everyone in my house loves this fragrance on me, and it is projecting and long lasting. It's hard to go wrong with this. This is almost like a queen in this category. So if Santal, you know what? Let's just name these prom king and queen. I mean, this is unisex, as I mentioned, but these two, If you want sort of opposite ends of the spectrum in the elegant summer category, these might be good bets for you. Let's keep going. The next few are usual suspects in this category, but what would a fragrance video of summertime elegant florals be without them? I mean, we cannot imagine. Not talking about Aerin Hibiscus Palm, which is my scent of the day. I do enjoy these bottles. I just ordered Mediterranean Honeysuckle. Is it Tiara? And I'm waiting for that to arrive. I cannot wait. That got rave reviews, and I ordered it alongside Donna Karan, Cashmere, and Palo Santo. And I ordered Electric Sky also from Tory Burch in that order, travel spray. So I'm really excited for that package to arrive. Y'all, I can douse myself in this thing. You see, I don't wear a whole ton of it. It's one that I wear a couple of times in the summer. I will say that this is also wonderful for year round, because it's hardy. All of the fragrances that I'm going to talk about, they are hardy, meaning they have some thickness, some substance to them versus the light seaside ones that I'll talk about in another video. By the way, if you don't see something that you think really does belong here, it's likely that I'll talk about it in an upcoming video. I had a hard time sort of dividing these up. If you go to the Estee Lauder website, the 3 notes that are highlighted there for this are Hibiscus, which is a tropical floral, beautiful scent. Malati flower, which is jasmine sambac, another name for that. And then coconut milk. And they want you to get a sensual and relaxed feeling from this fragrance. This is quintessential resort floral for me because, again, it's similar to Oud Zanzibar Intense in that it smells very much like a tropical garden. This one has a pronounced coconut note. For me, it's not coconut dominant. So I just want to be clear. And that's the reason I have never put this, I don't think, in a coconut video. And if I have, then erase that statement, like just rewind in your mind. For me, it's much more heavy on the florals with a nice accompanying coconut that is noticeable, and even more noticeable now in years since I have purchased it. When I first purchased it, it was very heavy for me on this sort of yellow, buttery floral aspect. Now I get more of the coconut, as I mentioned. There is some slightly indolic nature to this, meaning that word, just when you hear that, just think about, you know, how flowers can sometimes be a tiny bit smelly as they start to decay. You start to get certain scent compounds, molecule, whatever you call it, fragrance compound that comes off of the flower that smells like it's decaying a little bit. And it can be a pleasant smell, even though it smells like it's decaying. And there's a little bit of that here. This is a mature one. Actually, let me be clear. I'm looking down into my basket, and honestly, all of the fragrances that I'm going to talk about today are on the mature side, which I associate with elegance. So if you're someone who likes younger, flirtier fragrances, there might be a couple in this lineup that would appeal to you, but the vast majority may not be up your alley. So beautiful hibiscus palm. If you have this, if you're still rocking this, can you leave us a hibiscus flower in the comments if you can find it in your emojis on your keyboard or whatever? Let us know. Let us know. And I say that because this had a moment in the sun a few years ago, and I think it's still making the rounds in summer videos, but not quite like it was back then. But this is still rockin' tough in my house. Love this. This next one I have featured in summer video after summer video, and it's just beautiful, a little bit difficult to locate sometimes in the United States. I think it's still sold abroad. So if you know of a website that sells this other than discount sites, it's available on FragranceNet, I believe, and maybe some others. You'd have to do a Google search. This is Guerlain's Terracotta Le Parfum. This is an EDT concentration, if I remember correctly. If you look at the sticker, it gives you a sense of what it's intended to smell like, which is sunshine in a bottle. So this is a very much a solar floral fragrance. So what do I mean by that? If you think about the way that skin smells in the sun after being out and you've got some floral perfume on and it's meshing with the scent of your skin and all of that, and it's giving off this sort of warm, maybe even musky smelling vibe, that is what I think of as solar combined, like, so that warmth, golden warmth of sunlight on your skin combined with white florals, that to me sort of signifies what solar means in fragrances. This one smells so warm and creamy. Some of the key notes in here are tiare flower, which is like a really sort of creamy summer floral. There is coconut in the fragrance, although I don't think most people would smell this and say it smells like coconut to me. It's just sort of that creamy aspect that a really thick coconut note can lend to fragrances. There are white florals in here. There's jasmine and some other notes. So it's the white and yellow floral combined with coconut, combined with that solar warm aspect. as I mentioned. And it's beautiful all year round as well. And it really shines in the summer, of course. It does have musk and vanilla in the base. And so it will darken up over time from when you first purchase it as it starts to oxidize in the bottle and get exposed to more and more air. Really nice, very mature fragrance, not for everyone. I think, people either love terracotta or they just don't understand it, and that's okay. When I first tried it, I didn't understand the hype either, and then I let it sort of warm up on my skin and play with me, like play with my own body chemistry, and I was like, wow, this is fantastic. And so this is one of the few bottles that I actually have a full backup of because I don't want to be without it. That's how beautiful I find this to be, and it's nice and soft wearing on the skin. It does project nicely, and it has decent longevity. But I mean that it's soft, like the edges of it. It's a very sort of round, like the bottle, round, creamy summer solar fragrance. Beautiful. Another solar floral fragrance, not quite as serious as Guerlain Terracotta, and one that I personally consider to be a masterpiece of a fragrance, and that is Tom Ford's Soleil Blanc. Maybe also one of the more expensive fragrances on the market, regrettably, because it doesn't, well, I don't know if it needs to be or not. Like, who am I to tell a fragrance house how to price their fragrances? But I sure do wish that this was more affordable so more people could enjoy it. I mean, these little ones, like the tiny one, I think this retails for somewhere between 130 and 170 for just this like 1 ounce bottle, which is outrageous. But I love this. It is such a nice, creamy, floral coconut, sunny fragrance for the summertime. There for me is a little hint of like a tiny little hint of citrus at the top of this fragrance that sort of fades away quickly. And then it becomes this luscious white floral sort of coconutty mixture for me. It has, I believe, either vanilla or amber or some mixture because the accord of amber has vanilla in it in the base that makes this nice and creamy. I love that this gives me the image, and maybe it's a combination of the bottle and the dream that I have of the sort of vacation that I would want with this fragrance on. But it reminds me of sort of the white buildings in Greece that you see in all the beautiful travel pictures. That's the mental image that comes to mind for me with this, or women wearing beautiful flowy sundresses, men in white linen outfits, a casual top and white linen pants or something in that direction. It's nice, very elegant. It's not quite beachy. It doesn't have, for me, a sunscreeny direction to it. It's definitely more in that floral direction with coconut accompanying it quite nicely. So it's actually coco de mer, which is the note that's in here, but it's giving like a coconut type of vibe. I love this. Some might argue that this belonged in the Summer Juicy Florals video that will be coming up. However, I find this to be more elegant than like fruity would imply. When I think of fruity, I tend to think of something that's a little bit more youthful, footloose, fancy free. This is a heavy hitter for summer, and I really consider it more of like an elegant, maybe late afternoon, evening type of fragrance. Soleil de Jeddah Mango Kiss from Stefan Humbert Lucas. Bottle is gorgeous. And so it's like this bronzy, dark bronzy color, which is different than the regular Soleil de Jeddah, which is more just gold. This does have a heavy pronounced mango note, but it's a perfumey mango for me. It's not like a straight ripe mango. It's not a green mango. It's like a perfume interpretation of mango. This is also a super pricey fragrance. I apologize. Most of the fragrances I'm talking about in today's video are pricey, but I chose the ones that I felt belonged in this category the most, and they just happened to land in the pricey territory. Apologies to those of you that are looking for affordable options. I have affordable options in other videos spread throughout the 400 plus videos on my channel. Please check those out if that's of interest to you. I want to read you a little bit of the description here. Soleil de Jeddah Mango Kiss is a bold, vitamin-packed version of Soleil de Jeddah. I disagree. There's a little bit of the original Soleil de Jeddah in there. I actually had to sell Soleil de Jeddah. I don't know if it's still sitting out on my Mercari, but if it didn't sell, it's out there now. It's a very strong, beautiful, heavy hitter fragrance that has like leathery tones and citrus. I think it's lemon at the top there, and this sort of ashy texture to it. Fascinating fragrance, but very, very heavy. This has a very tiny bit of the Soleil de Jeddah, but thankfully not a lot. The tangy notes of mandarin and mango sparkle in the opening. The freshness of coconut sorbet contrasts with sweet facets of ylang-ylang, while an addictive sweetness of solar amber and vanilla absolute sublimates. There's an SAT word. Any indolent qualities. They call this an irresistibly gourmand fragrance. I don't find this to be like edible gourmand. It is fruity and luscious, but also evening mature. The notes that are called out are mango, but like I said, it's like a perfume interpretation of mango. I will say I do get something in the creamy coconut direction. It is a very creamy, buttery fragrance. It's very strong. The vanilla's heavy in here in the base. And there's also this sort of woodiness and somewhat of a small amount, a touch of leatheriness. Do you all pick that up in this fragrance? But this is strong. It is opulent. It is dense. It's a very sort of viscous fragrance and it's beautiful. I find it captivating and stunning. And the folks in my house love it. My husband thinks it is uber sexy. So that is Soleil de Jeddah Mango Kiss. Sometimes the next one can be difficult to find because it sells out quickly. In fact, the florals from this line tend to sell out quickly, especially in the summertime, from Chantecaille, and this is Frangipane. Gorgeous. I also have Petale. I always forget how to say this. Petales. Petale. Y'all told me how to say it, and I've already forgot, and I don't want to Google it. And I also have Le Wild. All three are so beautiful in different ways. This one is very much that sort of frangipane summer floral fragrance. Some of the other notes in here are Lily of the Valley, which lends this sort of clean white floral, almost soapy aspect to this. Ylang Ylang and jasmine. And then I'll call out the vanilla and the amber in the base. There's musk and cedarwood too. That doesn't stand out to me. If anything, this is another one of those sort of yellow, floral, tropical smelling fragrances. A little bit cleaner and less dense than perhaps Hibiscus Palm or Oud Zanzibar Intense or Terracotta. This one has a freshness to it that those other fragrances don't. So if you're looking for something that feels a little bit more pure in terms of a floral experience without all of those other heavy accompanying notes, Frangipane might be a good choice for you. This is another one that has deepened up in color as it has sat on my shelf because of the vanilla that's in the fragrance, although the vanilla is not extremely pronounced. I think that those base notes just sort of add some depth to the fragrance to keep it from being too light in the atmosphere as a fragrance. It gives it it sticks to your bones a little bit more, if you will. Beautiful fragrance, very, very feminine, very fleeting, to be fair and honest. This is one you'll put on maybe 3 or 4 hours in, you'll start to feel it fade and you'll have to reapply. So for that price tag, some people hate that about this. And I just want to be honest with you, but it is gorgeous for what it is. And so are the other florals in this line. People don't talk about Chantecaille a lot, but they definitely deserve some praise. Quite gorgeous fragrances. I should probably put this next one in the juicy fragrances video. So imagine that it's there and here too, but it has enough heft to it and depth that I wanted to add it into this elegant category, but it does have some playful aspects. This is from Plume Impression, and this is Pop Heart. Y'all sold this thing out on So Avant-Garde several times. So when it came back into stock and I saw it, I purchased my bottle and also alerted you all on my community tab on my channel that this was available. Again, it's sitting out there for $205 on the So Avant-Garde website. So if you use my code, you can get 20 whatever dollars off of this and bring it under the $200 range. Y'all, it is worth every single penny of $205. And honestly, I'm surprised it doesn't cost more. The notes that are featured, gosh, this is toe curling good. If I had this for my toe curler video, if y'all remember that back when we had some fun with that one, this might have made it in. It is so friggin' fraggin' good. When you first spray it on and into the mid experience of this, the middle experience, you're just oh my God, this is so delicious. Apple, pineapple, strawberry at the top, which to me just comes across as a combo of fresh, fruity amazingness, but sweet enough to keep you ooh, what is that? It's the juiciest combination of fruits here. In the middle, raspberry, rose, and magnolia. Do I get the rose and magnolia aspect of this? I think the fruitiness stays strong throughout most of this. And here's something to note and why it's in this category. In the base, caramel, vanilla, and musk. So what that translates into for me is this certain amount of thick sweetness and a slightly gourmand leaning aspect to it. Gosh, so think fruity caramel vanilla, thick caramel vanilla. When you think about caramel as being sweet and thick and sticky icky, not icky, just sticky, just sticky. Think about this as having a dense base with the vanilla with it. This is a sleeper hit. If you know, you know, and if you don't know, I want you to know. So you can try this out. There's samples out there too if you're not interested in just blind buying. The 2 milliliter samples, a nice little spray, not the little tiny dabbers, okay? An actual spray is $5.50 out on the So Avant-Garde website. So definitely get your nose on this. It is one of the most beautiful, rarely talked about fragrances on YouTube. In fact, this whole house has been really interesting. I have several from Plume Impression at this point, and I've been really impressed with the quality of the fragrances and the overall fragrance experience for most of them. This next fragrance is very sexy for your elegant summer evenings or daytime. I mean, you can wear this anytime, friends. This is from House of Sillage, and it's Haute Bijoux. Hope I pronounced that right. Sometimes I've said the S, Hauts Bijoux. Haute Bijoux. Anywho, notes featured on the website, grapefruit and mango. I do think that the mango in here is pronounced, and grapefruit is this beautiful light citrus note. I filmed a citrus video that should have posted by now, and I have a few grapefruity fragrances in that video, and I just love grapefruit in perfumes. You would think it would be tart and unwearable, like unpleasant, and it's just not. It's really pleasant to the nose as an olfactory experience, especially if it has notes together with it that sweeten it up. So grapefruit and mango in the opening, iris and caro caronde. Did I say that right? In the mid, which is I think it's West African in nature. Hold on, I just looked this up. Let me make sure I get my facts straight. Yes, it's native. It's a plant that's native, a shrub that's native to West Africa, and it produces an oil that reminds you of jasmine, a little woodier and a little spicier and a little more herbal. So I guess I can get some florals in here as well, but I love that the mango is probably one of the more pronounced notes. Again, it's perfumey in the same way that it is in Soleil de Jeddah Mango Kiss, similar in terms of it being a very feminine perfumey. I don't know how else to describe that. It's not a sort of natural smelling mango. I mean, maybe it could be, but I love that the grapefruit also lightens up the overall scent so that it isn't that serious of a fragrance, but it does have some sexiness to it. Amber base and heliotrope. Heliotrope can be sort of this powdery note in fragrances and sometimes can give across an almond nature. So I would say for me, this is overall a creamy mango grapefruit experience with some florals in the middle. And I think it is just gorgeous. I have the body wash to this, and it's so lovely to wash with that and then layer this on afterward. Beautiful date night fragrance, very feminine fragrance for me, and I love this. And right now it's sitting out on the House of Sillage website for half off at $180 for the cupcake. Ah, so gorgeous, very juicy. Also, this could have been in the juicy fragrances video. However, the addition of the amber here gives this fragrance some more weight than probably the ones that I have in that category. So dang good. The next fragrance has been compared to original Dior Poison from back in the day. Did you wear that? Because I did as an 80s kid. Y'all, I was in middle school, early high school, rocking Dior Poison. Wow, super mature. Like if I had to wear that fragrance today, I might be a little intimidated because it's strong, right? Like what was I doing wearing it at that age? I thought I was cute. I was kind of cute. We were all cute at that age, were we not? All right, so this is Jump Up and Kiss Me from Clive Christian. This has been described a lot of ways, and I'm still in a lot of ways getting to know this fragrance, but I do enjoy this as a gorgeous tuberose fragrance. I find this to be a little bit lighter and airier as a tuberose than some of the other heavy tuberose fragrances in my collection. I have another tuberose that I'm going to talk about here as a beautiful summertime, actually all year round, but summertime beauty as well. And so others pick up a very heavy sort of orange or orange blossom type of scent in here. I do get something like in that direction, but by and large, this is a tuberose fragrance for me. Like I said, a lighter, airier tuberose, but it does have tremendous projection. My husband calls it throw, like a candle has throw. He'll say that fragrance has a lot of throw. This one has big throw. It has big star energy, if you know what I mean. Lead actor energy this tuberose has, but it isn't thick and cloying as a tuberose, like super mature. And I like that it has a little bit of a suede, woody background to it, like ever so slightly in the background, kind of accompanying this, but it lets tuberose be the star of the show in that light sort of airy fashion. Maybe even has a little bit of like powderiness or super light, very thin texture muskiness that I don't see described in the notes for this. Now, I will say some of you will probably pick up like a slightly medicinal aspect to this. If you do, let me know in the comments. I have a feeling only certain people will smell that. Kind of like some people get dental office out of Baccarat Rouge and they can't smell anything else. I think some people might find this a little bit in the medicinal direction and unable to smell anything else. But for me, this is a light, beautiful, elegant tuberose with that nice suede, woody background to it. And it's gorgeous. And then my other tuberose that I Friends, this is maybe my favorite tuberose in my collection, and I have a lot, but this one has risen. This one has risen to the top as the favorite tuberose, the queen of the tuberoses. Actually, I think Fracca is. I don't know. These two are battling it out for first place in my heart, and that is Atlantide from Tiziana Terenzi, or if you just want to use the American pronunciation, Atlantide. This is part of the Sea Stars collection. Retail, this is probably the most expensive fragrance in my collection at like $8.95. I didn't pay retail for this. I got this out on Joma Shop for, I think it was like $3.25. And that is still very expensive for me to pay that much. But I've been lusting after this since I learned that it exists in the universe. And since I tried a sample of this that really felt very luscious, opulent, decadent, beautiful when I first tried it. And it went on my wish list right away. I was just waiting for that price tag to come down. This, for some people, will feel like a very heavy bubblegum tuberose. I do get some of that, but it's almost like a green tuberose for me. I call this the color emerald green. So if you think of emerald green as being the color of life, that deep jewel tone that signals rebirth and spring and the depths of summer in a jungle or something like that. If you think about green representing life, I love the combination of the thought of that with the tuberose in the fragrance. It's got a medley of super interesting notes in here. Tuberose absolute. It does look, it reminds me of Fracas. If you think about Fracca as having that really thick, mature, almost like a carnal tuberose in it. And that one has some other notes. I think it's like, it's either peach or something in that sort of apricot peach direction. Osmanthus, something in that neighborhood that gives it a little bit of a fruity edge and softens up that tuberose. There's something like that in here too. Bergamot, which I think is what gives it that sort of scent of life kind of color. And orange blossom, musk, amber, other notes. A bunch of stuff going on, but I can tell you that this is just an absolutely gorgeous, stick to your bones, last all day into the evening tuberose fragrance that is highly feminine, highly alluring, very sensual, sexy, beautiful, captivating, all the things. I can't say enough about this. Do I think it's worth the $895 price tag? Oh my gosh, that's a lot of money. That's very close to $1,000 in my mind. So I can't realistically say to people that it's, full price. I don't know that any fragrance is worth almost $900, but that's up to you and your budget if you would like to pay retail. And if not, it is sitting out on Joma Shop in the $330 range or somewhere in there. The presentation of this is unbeatable. It comes in this water vial, and that is then sitting in this box with this blue, almost metallic wraparound. And when you open the box, there's a light that goes on. It's just like a very ostentatious presentation, perhaps even gaudy, bordering on that, but beautiful as a gift for the tuberose lover, and just quintessential, elegant summer all year round, but elegant summer in particular. I can't say enough good things about this fragrance. I have two more daring fragrances, one less daring than the last one I'm going to talk about, to share with you. I didn't want to put Rouge Malachite in the lineup because I have these other two tuberoses that I just talked about. So to give tuberose a break and go in a bit of a different direction, I'll focus on her cousin, Vert Malachite, from the Armani Privé collection. The bottle does influence me into thinking that this fragrance smells a little green, to be fair, but it's mostly a spicy floral fragrance. Some of the description from the website is an opulent white lily, other white florals, spiciness, bitter orange, and vanilla. And it calls it a rich and luminous fragrance, flowers and spices. I feel like this is a green floral fragrance, again, influenced by the color of the bottle more than anything else. I find this to be bright and happy and fresh in the green direction. There's something sort of very forest-like about this to me. If I didn't know any better, I would say it had some sugary, almost like sugary pine notes in it or something in that neighborhood. There's a soft creaminess from, I don't know what, but in the white floral direction. And I can see that it has vanilla as a base note. It's just so pretty. And for me, fresh and uplifting in a floral and spicy direction versus Rouge Malachite, which is very heavy on that tuberose, spicy set of notes that it has going on. I think there's a heavier amber in Rouge Malachite, if I remember correctly. I haven't worn it in a minute. But this one is a little bit more uplifting and light in texture than Rouge Malachite, and I think really quite gorgeous for summer and very, very elegant if you like what I just described, something that presents as a green floral fragrance, even though it's not called out as being green in the Armani description. I think it's fabulous. So I'm going to end with a risky fragrance. I want to know if you've tried this. I'm not entirely sure myself what I think about it. In some ways, I think this is a really gorgeous fragrance with a lot of presence, very captivating, and maybe a little bit shocking because it's such an unusual smell. And in other ways, I'm just not sure that it's completely wearable. But there is, if you're in the mood for it, this sort of elegance about it that would lend to a beautiful nighttime dinner if you spritz lightly, because this is a powerhouse of a fragrance. And it does lean maybe a little bit in the masculine direction further into the dry down. And so I would absolutely say sample this first. Not a safe blind buy at all. This is from Blend Oud, and this is called Oud Zanzibar. And it's not oudi, but there's some woodiness to the fragrance. So in the top, there is a really pronounced melon aspect to this, along with citrus, like a zingy citrus. It says melon, lemon, and bergamot as the top notes. For me, there's even something like spicy gingery in the fragrance. Now, there's spices in the middle notes, spicy notes in the middle notes, spicy notes. So perhaps that's what's sort of lingering there as you open the fragrance up. But there is this depth to the fragrance that feels at the same time aquatic, as the color of the fragrance would lead you to believe, and feels kind of masculine, like in the traditional men's cologne direction. So if you think about fragrances like Creed Aventus and those that have that sort of pineapple and freshness combined with some woodiness, that type of thing is here at the top and throughout this fragrance, alongside those melon and citrus notes here. There are florals in the middle, jasmine and magnolia, but I will tell you that the citrus is pretty dominant for me alongside those melons. And then in the base, it's sandalwood and patchouli. I don't pick out patchouli. I don't pick out sandalwood per se in the way that I believe sandalwood to smell, either in its dry or creamy form. For me, there is just a sort of woody base. If I didn't know any better, I would say it's something like juniper or cedarwood or one of those kinds of more sort of crisp wood notes, maybe hinoki even. So it's a really interesting fragrance. I wore it recently and enjoyed aspects of it. And in other ways, I was like, I don't know what I think about this fragrance and if it's a little out there for me. But if you're daring and you don't mind a fragrance that is unisex, leaning a little masculine, and you like the idea of very heavy citrus and melon notes at the top, check this one out. Give it a go. See if you can get a sample of this and let me know what you think. And if you have this, or someone in your family, one of your friends has this, how does it smell on them to you? I'm curious to know. So that's my daring selection, Oud Zanzibar from Blend Oud. I'm sure, friends, that there were very, very many more that I could have put in this video. I didn't want it to be 9 hours long for y'all. So I hope that you enjoyed these selections. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what else you would add in this category. And I'll bet you see some of your favorites in upcoming videos as well. Thanks so much for joining me today. Don't forget to leave your country or your region or your state or your city or whatever you feel comfortable divulging down in the comments, along with a flag emoji. I appreciate your time today. Take care. See you in the next one.